Thank you, choir. Thank you, Brother Ryan, for those songs tonight. Well, Brother Eric is from Cornerstone Baptist Temple in Dayton, Ohio. That's Ascending Church. But the mission board is through Faith Baptist Church here in Jefferson City at Baptist International Outreach. And I'll let him share more about his family and about just his testimony and about how God called him to go into Zambia. And Brother Eric, I appreciate you. You come on tonight and share with us what you're doing.
Molto bene. Really? You would say unishani. Thank you, honey. Unishani. Come on, Bush people. We are the Hendricks family. We are church planting missionaries in Zambia, Africa. We're 30 miles south of the Congo. No one knows where Zambia is, but everyone knows where the Congo is. And so we're 30 miles south of the Congo, and we've been called to church plant in this area where there's 6.8 million people, and over 4 million of them have never heard the gospel one time. So if you wonder why the rapture hasn't happened, that's why. And God's called us to go do that work. Now, we're joining alongside the ministry that's been there since 2005, and they've started 20 churches, national ran. So we're going to come alongside them and grab the baton from that missionary. Dave Barnhouse is the missionary that started this. He's from Pennsylvania, but now he's preaching in Oneida, Tennessee, a little country church just like this one in the middle of some holler no one's ever heard of. And I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for the Sunday night crowd that's not only in the back, but it's in the front too. You know, they say the folks in the back, they're just trying to get to the restaurant first. I've already made arrangements, so get over it. We're very thankful to do this. We got called to missions. My wife was called in her teenage years, around 13, 14 years old. I got called when I was 20 years old in 2013. But before all that, I didn't grow up in a church home or even have an idea who Christ was besides a curse word. My dad left me when I was 9 months old. I never met him. He was a welder by trade. He would travel and do skyscrapers. He made lots of money, and he got hooked on what this world gets hooked on too, and it's the hard drugs of this life. And he left and never came home. I've never seen him again. My mom was a good woman, but obviously, like many people do, she got saved when she was 12, and she never went back to church once. And I never heard that kind of testimony or even anything about him. Really, my whole growing up. I mean, it was obviously do good things, be a good person, and we very lots of Catholic roots in Ohio. My mom remarried my dad, my stepdad, when I was 5. And he was an alcoholic. They met in a bar, and it was love at first sight, of course. And so we were along for the ride. And he wasn't a bad man as far as people goes, but he didn't have anything in his life that was going to point children in the right direction. Quick to anger. He didn't have the skills it took to be a kind man. And that was a big deal in my life. He was very abusive, physically or even verbally, and that really put me on a trajectory in my life to go towards the world. And by 12 years old, I was doing drugs and alcohol. By 15, I was on hard drugs and dropped out of high school when I was 15 as well. And so you could see the path that I was heading on was just the same path as everybody else. I was lost. And had no way. I had no idea. I really was chasing money. That's what I thought was the most important thing in this world. My family, my stepdad's family, they were big-time mechanics, and they had a big shop that looked like a dealership. And I knew I didn't want to be a mechanic. If you've grown up around a mechanic, that's why I'm a carpenter by trade. But that's kind of where I came from. And anyone ever heard of Amway Global? They used to sell products. Back in the 80s and 90s was real big, but even in 2000s and 2010s, it got to the new market. And I used to be in shape. Now I'm a shape. Round's a shape, so get over it. But I used to go to gyms and sell workout products, proteins, and different things. And I had a good business partner. He helped me a lot. He was 6'5", 250, and he was the Arnold Classic winner. So he's real easy to sell products with like that. I mostly just carried his luggage, is what I'm saying. And so when I was 18 years old, I was doing concrete work and living in the world. I had an apartment, estranged from my family, and was doing this in the winters. And my business partner there, he was a Christian. Grew up in a Baptist church and was saved. And every Sunday we'd go to these different meetings and things. And he'd ask me if I'd go to church with him. And every Sunday, just like the previous weekend, I'd be in the bar somewhere at whatever hotel we were at, and he knew I was crawling into that sweet hotel room, and 3:30, 4 in the morning, and every Sunday at 8 o'clock, he'd be asking me if I'm going to church. He'd knock on my door, and I said, I'm not going to church with you. November 22nd of 2010, I got up and went to church with him. Something in me, the Holy Spirit, that I didn't know, that still small voice said, get up. And I rolled over and I got up out of that bed that day, and we went and got breakfast. He's in this room and we're in this suite. So I got my room, he's got his room. We got a little dinette area and stuff. And he's pressing my shirt and pressing my pants. And he said, I knew you were coming to church with me today. I wonder if he did that every week. But that morning I went and got to church with him, and it wasn't a Baptist church. It was just a contemporary church. And I went in this room, and there's 1,000 people in this conference room, and they're worshiping our God. I'd never heard that before. Never seen real worship. I'd never seen people sing praises. And I really thought, these people are nuts. Well, people think that about us, too, when they walk in this church, right? And they might be a little right. And so I went in there, and I had the conviction of the Holy Spirit on my pressed upon my heart that day, and God started bringing up the things in my life that weren't right, and pastor came up and he preached a good message about letting Jesus take care of your business so you can be rich, and I wouldn't even listen to that part. I just knew that I needed to know who this Jesus was he was talking about. And at the end of that business conference meeting, he said, do you know that you could have salvation in Jesus Christ, and you could come and call upon him right now, and you could be saved? And he did the work for you and on Calvary, and that started to open up, and I started getting emotional. Back in the back by myself, just contemplating where I am in my life and where I want to go in life and where I've been from, and I didn't even know this was possible. I thought, Catholic Church, you got to go and atone, and you got to go and sit in the box with that pastor, that priest there, and tell him all your sins, and hopefully next week I have a little few less. And I ran down in front of that congregation of 1,000 people, and I said some real nice prayer like, God, I'm an idiot, and I've been wayward, and I need to know you. And if you're real, you'll hear me now. Or if you will, you'll save me. And he did. Changed my whole life, and I felt that conviction come off of me, and I went back and talked to Josh about it, and Josh was a Baptist. And that's not only Baptists are going to heaven, by the way. I want you guys to know that. We are the best. We're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. And so we finished that conference up, and I went home and had the same friends, same girlfriend, and apartment, and life, and I had to go back and reconcile my family. Can I tell you what the Bible said? It said to me, it said, honor your mother and father if they're saved. Is that what it says, preacher? It says, honor your mother and father. And so I had to go and get right with them, and had to do some things. And about a year and a half of me reading the Bible and getting closer to God and growing, I got roped into taking my cousin to a Bible college to play basketball. Do you guys know Bible colleges play basketball? How silly is that? Bunch of white boys under 6 foot. I mean, that's the silliest thing I've ever seen. Look at me. I don't play basketball. I am the basketball. I have no intention of playing basketball. I am honest with myself. I know better. Preacher said, that's right, we do play basketball. I've heard a lot of good Baptists. Good preachers, too. They got a good jump shot. That's about it. So I got to take my cousin down to this Baptist Bible college to play basketball, and I am upset about it, preacher. I'm doing concrete work still and growing in the church I'm at, and I'm getting closer to God, and I'm, getting ready doing concrete in April. I mean, you stop doing concrete work in Ohio, so it's go time. We're back on it 6 days a week, sometimes 7. And my grandpa got me this job. So my grandma and grandpa called me and said, hey, I want you to take Zach to Arkansas, this Bible college, for Spirit Week, and he's going to go probably play ball for them. And I said, I'm not taking him. He's a grown man. I'm 19 at the time, almost 20, and I think he's 22. And I said, I'm not taking him. So my boss calls me and says, hey, boy, you're off work the rest of the week. I think you're going to Arkansas. I said, what are you talking about, Nick? We got a big job coming up. And he goes, I'm not getting in trouble for you. Grandma and Grandpa had some good pull with him, and so I called, and Grandpa said, hey, we'll have a car ready for you guys tomorrow morning and come pick him up at 8 o'clock. So here I am taking this boy to Arkansas. I'm upset hot. Some Bible college in the middle of Arkansas. You didn't even know where Arkansas is? No one knows where Arkansas is. You don't go to Arkansas, you pass through Arkansas. And hopefully, if you can, you go around Arkansas. So here I am. I take this boy to Arkansas, and I got a bad attitude. I mean, I have no interest in going to school ever again. I dropped out when I was 16, got my GED right away. Good enough for me, good enough degree. And thank you. And so he goes off with these basketball boys, and I'm an outgoing person, so you start mingling. I knew somebody that was there from our hometown, and so he showed me around, and I started falling in love with this place. People come here and go to school, and they can preach or get a degree, it's pretty interesting. So Thursday goes by, Friday goes by. I'm starting to feel a certain way about this place. I haven't even seen Zach in 3 days. I don't even know where that boy is. I don't care. And Mariah was there. She was a freshman, and she thought very low of me. Who's this cocky thing thinking he's somebody? Well, it worked out. Just saying. So Sunday goes by, and I get reassurance of my salvation in this church, and I go meet the preacher there, and Pastor Eric Capacey is his name, was a pretty high name in Baptist community there, and had lunch at his house. Big old church, 500-600 people there, and parents and different things. And he said, hey, you want to come have lunch with me at my house? Well, sure, that don't happen every day. So I go and have lunch with him, and he's talking about the opportunities they have at this college, and I'm thinking, well, that's nice, that's a pretty nice gesture, but we're going to head home, and, you can have Zach. Keep him 13 hours away from me. I'm kidding. And so we have lunch, and really started opening up ideals and opportunities for me that this could be something for me. So go back home, and things start growing and moving, and the same week, July 7th or so, I'm thinking about this Bible college. That preacher calls me and says, hey, I've been praying for you. You're going to come to this college. I said, you know what, I think I might. And in 1 week, I made a decision to go to this Bible college. I had no idea what I was going to be, an evangelist, a missionary, a preacher. I didn't know. Probably none of those things. I just, I really needed a change in direction in my life. I knew I didn't want to be a mechanic forever, and doing concrete's hard. If you've ever done that, you don't want to do that forever neither. And so God really got a hold of me, and I went down there. I sold everything, packed up my little Mustang, and came to Bible college. Well, I haven't been in school in, 5 years at that point. I barely knew how to read or write. They put me in 18 credit hours. Greek, Hebrew. Have you ever tried to read Greek and Hebrew? This isn't normal college. This is like alien college to me. I'm just barely, what's an epistle or an apostle? I don't know. This was new. So to think, they're like, what are you going to be? You going to be here to be an evangelist? What's an evangelist? I don't know, hon. So I learned a ton and dropped some 6 classes, and I gave more money in demerits than I did tuition that first semester. I was cleaning. The whole kitchen was spotless. The smoker grill was spotless. I couldn't do anything right. But God started getting a hold of me. And I started meeting some real men of God that had kind of some similar testimonies to me, and started growing in me. Started realizing a real burden and real need for us to take this serious. We don't come to church to check boxes. This is not about us. Sorry to tell you, back row. This is not about us. This is all about Him. Every bit of it. We come here to worship Him. We come here to grow, sharpen each other. I mean, I'm not going to call you out for leaving when I say that, but it's not about us. It's all about Him. And I went through 2 years. They had some changes in the school that were doctrinal changes I just couldn't agree with, and I didn't even know nothing. You start seeing things happen, though, and you know your spirit's not right with it. I had to back away from it. Mariah was going to finish the school just to get her degree because she was already so close. And so we stayed in Hot Springs, and I heard a message on September 7th, 2013 from a Kenyan missionary that was just given the burden of getting more missionaries in the field. And I came down the altar just like this one, and God gave me a vision in my spirit of Africa. And I seen that come true one day in 2022. I seen that same vision He gave me 10 years prior. But I said, if you call me to the missions, I'll go. If you open the doors, I'll go. And just like a lot of things with God, it doesn't happen right away, does it, preacher? You'd say, I'll do it. I'll do it if you call me. But I'm not. I mean, I'm not running for that goal. You know how pastors and preachers are. Well, you got to call me a couple times before I really commit to something. But I started just getting more intense in church, working harder. I started building homes and just becoming just what you were supposed to be, guys. You're supposed to be going and evangelizing. If you're not doing missions work here in your church, you'll never be called to a mission field. It's impossible. If you won't go down in your comfortable car on a nice paved road, you're not going to come to the bush in some 4x4 stinking Jeep that I've had to put 3 tires on and change the radiator in 3 times just to give somebody that don't speak English a gospel tract. You're not going to do it in Morristown. You're not going to do it in Zambia. And so we kept moving, getting closer to Him and asking Him to open up more opportunities. He really poured into me some skills to build homes. I built 7,000 square foot homes and did everything from the foundation to the roof. And none of that's I didn't know how to do it, and they threw a lot of things at me when I was trying to learn. I had a guy threw a hammer at me because I didn't know how to cut the rafter right, and that'll learn you real good. All those things added up to getting to where we are today, and I got eczema. Your wife's got a skin disease flaring up, and God hit me with that in 2017. It's as bad as it gets when it's bad. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I couldn't use my hands no more. I got 2 kids, a wife, and we're living in Raleigh, North Carolina, and couldn't use my hands no more. What's a carpenter going to do without no hands? I don't know. I thought, God, I've been faithful. I'm trying my best. I'm getting close to you. I'm coming after you. If everything I got, if you open the door, I'm walking through it. And they told us that we needed to go back to Ohio where I grew up. Your allergies are used to that or something. And all these different medicines weren't working. And so we prayed over months, and I quit my job, and we moved back to Ohio. And I said, and where I came from, I reconciled with those folks, but I was never going back home. I'll come back on Easter or Thanksgiving every other year, but I wasn't coming back to Ohio. Where were we going to go to church? I only knew of one Baptist church there, Cornerstone Baptist Temple. And so we were scared, to say the least. We really thought we were right in the middle of what God had for us, and we were scared. So we go back to Ohio, and this is 2018, and I'm pretty scared about what's next. I go back to working in the mechanic shop and got a bay. Grandpa put me on a bay, and we found our church there, Cornerstone, and we're just trying to figure out what God had for us. Well, I didn't know this. Cornerstone supports 400 missionaries. They sent 15 out of that church, and they just raised $750,000 for Faith Promise Missions. didn't think that was an opportunity for us. I'm going through this health crisis and different things, but God had to move us. God had to move us back and get us to see our family and my family, and I got to give the gospel to my family. My dad got saved in 2020, and my mom she gave her life back to the Lord, and both of them passed away in our deputation. But we came to a church that was wrapped around our arms around us. We got to moving closer to them, and started to see what that looks like. How do you even become a missionary, right? And in 2019, I said, we'll go. So we started working for the church. The preacher said, well, you're not ready yet. You can't tell, I'm a little rough around the edges. And so we started working on staff there at the church and getting closer. We were hoping to launch out in deputation in 2020, but that was a weird year. And so through COVID and everything, we waited and got everything kind of in order, and we started in deputation in 22. We met a guy named Dave Barnhouse who started this ministry and had to back out of Zambia, and so we're going to be the next ones to take over with his leadership on this side. We'll be leadership on that. I say all that to say there's no cookie cutter way to get to serving God. I came from a long road of broken pieces, bad decisions, thinking this isn't going to work out. How are we going to get back to that? What are we going to do next? I think we had to go through all that to realize that there's no roadmap besides this right here, this Bible. Staying close to Him. There's nothing I did right to make me worthy to be a missionary. He called me and then He qualified me. I wasn't qualified for the calling. I can't tell you enough. Just being faithful, He'll put you where you need to be. I'm going to be a prosperity preacher for you tonight. There will be hard times, bad days. You'll have more money than you could ever count. Then you'll have no money. You wish you could rub two nickels together to make three. That's not the way that works. The way this works is just stay close to Him. Follow Him, and He'll give the things you need. We have not once begged for a dime on the road. 3 years, 255 churches now. We have about 55 supporting churches. We've never once had to beg for a thing. And that's from faithful people like you. It's from being faithful. It's from walking by faith and not by sight, and not putting a basket over your head. How there's a great opportunity to give the gospel when you tell them you just came from church today. And you better tip tonight too, I'll tell you that. If you've ever been a server, these Baptist folks get out of church a little early, but you better tip too. Be a witness. God wants to use you. That's the most exciting thing. If you're not excited about church or going to church, it's probably because you're not doing it right. It's very exciting to see people change and see people ask you, what's different about you? Or why do you say it like that? Or how do you have that outlook on life? Well, you have no idea where I came from. And then, no offense to this, but it's not the church that did it. It's Him that did it. It's Him that did it. We just come here to hopefully exalt each other, exhort each other, lift each other up, sharpen each other. We have no excuse. A little bit about Zambia. I got 5 minutes to tell you everything I know about Zambia. No, I'm kidding. Zambia's got 20 million people and 1.2 million orphans. In our area, we go 3 or 4 hours to get 30 miles because it's so rough terrain. When they know we're having church service at 10 o'clock, they will leave their huts and their homes at 6 in the morning to walk to church, to meet us there. And there'll be 500 to 600 people in the churches. We ain't doing that, guys. I thought I was going there because they needed me. The churches there don't need me. It's the people that don't have the church yet that need me. If I didn't say yes, somebody else would go. These folks are ready. We have a church 13 hours from civilization that has the best choir I've ever heard in my life. I wish I could show you our video, but if you have a card, go on YouTube and watch our stuff. It'll really change your heart and let you see what other Christians. We're going to be in heaven one day with these Christians that you've never met yet. And I pray that I'll be able to partner with you, and I'll go over there on your accord. They'll be on your account. When you go start throwing Zambian crowns at Jesus' feet, you'll say, I sowed that seed for them to get that gospel. That's what this is for. I'll never go knock doors in Morristown. Well, hope not never. If you ask me to, if you say, hey, we're going this weekend, I'll go with you. But I can't do that every week. You can. We're all missionaries. We're no special. We're no one different. You know, I definitely, you're going to see I'm not a good reader here. There's things about us, we're no different than anyone else. We have bad days and flare-ups. Don't ask my boys. No. But I count it joy. It's 7,000 miles away from my mother-in-law. It's not that hard when you put it like that. But we go there and we give up some things in this life. We give up some things. It's just, you know, knowing your meat's fresh at the market, that's nice. You don't want green ham and eggs. It's not green eggs and ham. It's green ham and eggs. But these folks that we work with, these guys that we have 3 guys right now in Bible schools that are ready to go and plant churches in places they've never been at. And you start seeing that excitement, and you start seeing how they've dived into the Bible, and they get closer to it, and they get changed, and they wrap it in their heart, and everything spews out of their belly is the gospel. That's not their culture. That's not normality. That's I mean, and you can't write that down. It's hard to put a pin on that. That'll make you take 5 kids and a dog over there. We've been living in an RV here for the last 4 months now, and that's kind of making us a little bit more encouraged to get to Zambia. You know, if you want to see a missionary, you just make him a little uncomfortable. Lord, I'll take that little hut with that six gallon water heater right now. That'd be real nice. But we're the first defense for the gospel coming out of the Congo. And so in our area, the Congo's in a civil war, and we're seeing droves of folks and villages and people coming over the borders into Zambia. And so we're planting churches where these people are coming and they're getting the gospel for the first time. We're planting churches and digging wells where they can get fresh water. They're not going very far. You know, we're 30 miles out of the Congo. We're going 15 into the bush. We're meeting them right there. I really believe that the rapture's soon. No one knows. But I believe that these people are coming in droves and they're getting the gospel fast. We're seeing 40 to 50 a day in our services get saved. And that's something that numbers don't matter. It's worth one of them. I'd spend my whole life over there for one. But as we start seeing more and more come and more people we're more receptive, and the government's being very lenient for the missionary, our president just got saved about 3 years ago, and our friend Johannes is his interpreter. He does his sign language interpreting for the president of our country, and he got saved through Johannes. As we start seeing the world get closer to God, just get ready, because there's going to be a great awakening here as we see it come to an end. But Zambia's got all the animals, but it's got a lot of heartache. I said we got 1.2 million orphans. Anyone have an idea how many orphans are in America? It's about 450,000 orphans that are all accounted for in some kind of foster care system. We don't have a foster care system at all. So 1.2 million orphans that, if they're not in a private orphanage, they're either in the Catholic Church orphanage or they're an orphan in the bush, in the cities. They live with whoever will keep them at night, and then during the days they run the streets. And when we go into the cities, we'll see kids 8, 9, 10 years old. My boy right there is 9, my oldest. And they're taking gas, and if they can get just a few kwacha, that's our money system, kwacha, for some gas, they'll huff gas all day. 8 and 9 years old. Many of them die from starvation by 12. 15 things are killing our people there before over COVID was. You know, COVID was the big thing, 4 years ago. We got 15 other things killing these people, and you guys are worried about wearing a mask right now. Starvation's number 3. AIDS, malaria, just simple things like malaria, hepatitis C, or hepatitis B, different things like that. All those things are what we're combating on top of cultural divides and thousands of years of tugging and pulling back and forth of this culture and that culture and different gods and different things and what they've kind of followed. But our young men are starting to, they're seeing this, and they're able to give the gospel in a clear presentation way more than we can. It's incredible to see them. And so we have about 60 guys that work, 60 people that work with us on the farm. We have an 80-acre farm, and we have an orphanage of 20 kids right now. They're kind of like my grandkids. When I go out, I have a house there, and it's blocked off, and we have a neighbor. He does a feeding ministry. His house is blocked off. I can go across there to my little grandkid orphans and get them all riled up. Miss Mariah makes the cookies for them and gets them all sugared up before bed. But this is how we're going to start to see a revolution. This is how you start to see the culture change. This is where you see people get the gospel in them and multiply that, disciple, and go out in their own community and go back to where they came from and see a huge change. So I could go on forever about it. I would love for you to ask questions if you have questions. You can see me in the back. You can go ahead and open your Bibles to Mark. We'll be in Mark 5. I want to talk about the first missionary sent besides Jesus in the New Testament. One thing that God's been kind of working on us about is all the bugs and the snakes and the critters. We don't really have to worry about animals so much. When River was born, that's our 4th child. I was in Zambia when she was born. She came a month early. That was so hard for me. You know, childbirth is already hard for the man. But I'm 7,000 miles away. You wouldn't believe what I had to go through. I was heading to a village about 14 hours from our home there in Kitwe, Kalalushi area, and we had to take a bush plane up to the lake there on the border of the Congo and Tanzania and Lake Tanganyika. It's the second largest lake in the world. And told Mariah I loved her. You know, I talked to her in a couple of days. We're going to be off grid for a while, taking pictures. And within about 7 hours of her being born, I got chased by a hippo. So you think childbirth is hard, ladies? Let me talk about fear. No, I'm kidding. I've stared. We're walking this path here, and I got one of the young men from the church. You know, white people, when they travel, they got to take 7 naps. We get in a bush plane, we get on a boat, we get to the lodge. Everyone wants to take a nap. Mzungus, white people. So I'm like, I'm going to go to the church. I'm going to go meet Pastor Frazier and his crew. And so I walked 3 miles down to the church from the lodge there, and it's only one road. And they all, I mean, by the time I get about a mile, they've never seen a Mzungu this big, the big white boy. They call me the elephant white man. So I'm bigger than, I was like, really? Of all the nicknames. So Brother Dave loves that. I get down there. By now I got 20 kids with me and a couple of young men, and we get to the church and we fellowship. I meet the pastor, and he speaks really good English and sends me back to the lodge about before dark. White people don't stay out after dark. And so we head back, and it's getting dusk, and I mean, it's a beautiful view, one of the most beautiful views I've ever seen in my life. And we're walking this big lake shore, and I got about 15 kids. We're kicking the football, soccer for you guys, kicking the football around, and all of a sudden I hear this deep bellow, growl, guttural, and just instant fear. If you've ever had fear in your life, like maybe when your daddy whipped that belt out, or boy, what happened at school today, or something like that, about that kind of fear, maybe a little bit more. And I looked at Derek. Derek's 17-year-old man that worked in the church, and he stopped and did one of these moves. You see an African stop and do one of those moves, you're in trouble, folks. I'm not outrunning any of them. There's not one of them I'm outrunning, not even in my best day. So I look over at him, and I look back, and here's this. She's 30 yards coming out of the lake. This hippo comes out of the lake. She's staring at me. She's got a youngin' behind her. I got like 12 kids. Which one am I going to knock down? Not a one. I didn't think about it until after. I did not knock down one of them. But this hippo come out, and I'm looking at him. He says, "Do not move. Do not move." I'm like, I'm trying not to. I was calm, cool, and collected, I promise. So this hippo come down to the water there, and she come all the way out. And I'm thinking, when are we going to run, Derek? It's time to run. We could be running. We could halfway be home by now. And he said, just wait. He's like, don't look. And I'm like, here's how I know Bigfoot's real, by the way. I had a nice camera around my neck. I did not snap a picture at all. I could have had a picture of that thing. There was so much fear in me, I couldn't do it. And finally, she backed off and went back into the water up to her eyes. And he says, "Okay, now we go." Like, now we go? I got to change my shorts, man. I can't move. I'm glued to this ground right now. I can't move. And he says, "Come on, let's get out." So we go, and he takes me back to the lodge. I said, "Now, what are you going to do?" He goes, "Oh, I'm going to go back home." He turns around and goes right back that road. I didn't take that road one time the rest of the week. I got in a truck. I'll get a motorcycle. I'll go the long way. I'm not going back that way. He had no problem. That's what they do every day. He said, "Oh, yeah, that's so-and-so. She's kind of mean." So I tell him the story like that, and I get a text message from Mariah, or signal going in and out, and here she is holding this ugly little baby. I've never seen an ugly thing like that before. Oh, wait, that's my baby. So she had had our baby that same day. So I like to tell I'd rather have been at that riverside. That was her name. She was named River. So I'd rather be at her riverside than that other riverside. Let's pray. Let me get out of the way here. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this opportunity to open your word. And if I can be an encouragement to anyone today, I'd thank you for it. Lord, I pray that you have your will be done, and your work would be finished in this church and the hearts of these folks, that they would be willing to step out in the calling that they have gotten from you, that they would do your work and your will. We'd see this city turned upside down. We'd see our families strengthened and encouraged and ready for your great appearance, Lord. For us, it'll be a joyous day. For many, it'll be the saddest day they ever encounter. It's something we can't take lightly. I pray that you'd prepare us, prepare our hearts, prepare our minds, and encourage those that need the encouragement tonight. We thank you, we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We're in Mark 5. I'm going to read 2 verses out of Mark 4. You can stay right where you're at. Mark 4, verse 35, it says this: "In the same day, when the even was come, he saith unto them, Let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship, and there were also with him other little ships." Give you a little catch-up of where we're at here. This is about 11 months into Jesus' ministry. He's about 30. And he's got his disciples chosen. He's preached a couple incredible messages. Some likes the world's never heard or seen before. He's done a few different miracles, and he's starting to get some traction. He just sent away the multitude, and he just preached a message about sowing seeds. Who here could say, I could sow some more seeds? but only if it's on the right ground, right? Only if it's on green pastures. Is that what that said in Mark 4? Only on green pastures do we sow seeds. Only when the season's right. No, it says sow the seeds on hard ground, soggy ground, on the side of a rock. It don't matter. Where God's seed is laid, He can bring up the fruit. So that's the message He just gave that multitude there, and He sent them away, and now they're in a boat. And the disciples, they don't really know what they're doing yet. He said, just get your boats, and we're going to go to the other side. So, like good disciples, they boats, they ready them up, and they start heading to the other side. They have no idea where they're going. There's a great appointment. This is sensitive. I'm starting Mark 5 here. It says, and they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains. Because he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. I don't know if you're aware of this. Gadarenes is right off of Greece, and right here is the tombs. The island of the tombs is where they put the dead people. They didn't have backhoes or any heavy machinery back then. Maybe bronchiosauruses. We're not. I mean, the news is still out on whether the dragons were there or not. I'm just kidding. I don't know if anyone's dug a hole, but I'd rather just put them in the tombs than have to dig a hole. So they've got this man where all the dead folks are. Rotten flesh, stinky, nasty. All your neighbors are dead. It's kind of like being in a retirement home. I'm sorry. I'm not funny. So this man is there, and he's got an unclean spirit. The folks, they don't really understand what that means, but he is possessed. And he can't be tamed. He can't be killed. They really aren't sure what this thing is inside of him. But everyone knows about him, especially in Decapolis, which is the major city of Greece here at the time. And I mean, you're in a bad way when all your friends and family and kin and neighbors and football friends, they want to put you with the dead folks in the tombs. And they want to chain you up and try to starve you out, and they can't kill them. Cannot be tamed, can't be killed, don't know what to do with them. And in verse 5 it says, and always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. This man was in a place that he didn't want to be in. Has anyone ever found themselves in a place they didn't want to be in? Maybe wrapped up in sin or shame or wrong crowd, wrong place, wrong time, you name it. Even folks that grew up in the church, even folks that have proclaimed the gospel for their whole life, folks that got saved, been stuck to this stuff. You start a new job, you're at the workplace, you're gonna have places this is a place I don't want to be in. Maybe not this drastic, right? This is obviously tippy-top scale. I don't want to be stuck in the tombs with 1-inch leather straps wrapped around me and chains all around me either. But he's in a bad way, and we've been there too ourselves. It says he was crying and cutting himself with stones. I went to a large high school, 3,000 so folks, and cutting yourself was a big deal. It still is. There'd be girls and guys, but girls mostly, they'd cut themselves, take a razor, and they'd cut themselves on their wrists and their arms, up to their shoulders, on their thighs. Many times it was due to being mistreated by uncles, fathers, men of some sort. It'd be from abusive places. Sometimes it's just to start to feel something again. I came from a place of abuse, physically and verbally, and let me tell you, it's hard to talk yourself out of telling yourself that they're right. When people start telling you that you're useless and stupid and whatever, you name it, you are those things. You start to assume those things, and you're going to you see someone with no confidence in themselves because someone's beat them so low that you're right, I am those things. This guy, he's in one of those places. He's been beaten down to where he believes that he is the scum of the earth. And it's so bad he can't even kill himself. It's a bad place to be, folks. It goes on, it says, but when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and he worshiped him. Can I tell you, that's about how I came to Christ? It wasn't the church, it wasn't the music they were singing, it wasn't really even the preacher that preacher was preaching. It was good word, but in the way he spun it was just for business purposes. But when you meet Jesus, when you hear Jesus, when you hear that gospel, the opportunity to come and have a divine appointment with him, when you see him afar off, I don't care about who's sitting in front of me, I see Jesus. And he ran and he worshiped him. He'd never met him before. Can I tell you that's our God? Whew. All hope was lost. He's trying to kill himself, guys. And he sees him and he goes and runs and worships him. And he cried with a loud voice and said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God, thou torment me not. Now that voice right there is not the voice of that young man. That's the voice of those that are dwelling inside of him. And let me tell you, they are very well known. They know Jesus very well. There's no doubt about it. It goes on and it says, for he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, what is thy name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Why would those demons and those unclean spirits want to not leave the country? Does anyone know? They're comfortable. You know, when sin gets in your life and your family's life and your church's life, can I tell you that when they get in here and they get comfortable, they don't want to go nowhere. That's when we start getting people that, well, we've always done it this way. Well, if it doesn't go with the Bible, then we don't do it that way no more. If it doesn't belong here, we don't do it no more. Well, the same thing. Well, it's okay. It's no big deal. Our family's always done it that way. Well, if it's not right, we don't do it no more. These demons, they were comfortable in Decapolis. They were comfortable in that guy. They could get away with it, and they knew, okay, well, you can have him, Jesus, but I want the rest of them. It's okay if one Zambian gets saved, but he wants the rest of them. The devil wants the rest of the Zambians too. The devil wants the rest of the folks in Morristown and Newmarket and Talbot and anywhere else around here. It's okay if y'all come to church, but don't go out and door knock. Don't go out and have some kind of promotion Sunday. Don't bring them kids in here. We're comfortable here. The world's comfortable here. They got the football team. Don't let football coaches be coming to your church because they got the football team. They got the hockey team. Well, y'all don't play hockey down here. They got the basketball team. They got you name it. They're comfortable here. Get that stuff out of here. But watch what he does. In verse 11, it goes on. It says, Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. So put your mind there. Kind of like coming down one of them roads that we got lost in this morning. There's a big field there and mountainside, and my little girl River, she goes, there's many a cow over there. I didn't know where she talked like that. Why are you talking Old Testament? Many a cow, Daddy. Father, what are you, 3? You don't talk like that. Many a cow. There come many a herd of swine over this hillside here. and he says, I'll grant you leave. And all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter unto them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down to a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000, and they were choked in the sea. Now, why did he do that? Is it because pigs are unclean? Who here has got a good smoker? No one? I was going to see if we could have some this week. It's not because the pigs are unclean. It's because there was about 2,000 unclean spirits in them, and here come about 2,000 swine across this hillside, and there's shepherds all across there. These fields, they didn't have walkie-talkies. They didn't have any way to communicate, and they'd let these swine take across these hillsides, and that 2,000 swine cost about $5 million American today. It's a good deal of swine there, isn't it? And what did that last part in section B say? It said they all jumped violently into the sea. And most everyone's heard this portion of passage here. I want to be careful to not say that very often, because when I was a young man in church, people would say, well, you've heard the story. I have not heard the story yet, preacher. When I was 20, I didn't know that one yet. So don't just assume everyone knows all the stories. But these swine cost about $5 million. So what do those shepherds need to go do now? I used to run a company of 11 guys and 7 trucks, and we were one of the top remodeling companies and building companies in Raleigh, and I couldn't imagine having to call my boss and say, hey, remember all those brand new 2,500 GMCs you just bought? All 7 of them just jumped off the side of the cliff there, Adrian. And no big deal. Insurance should be fine. Maybe. They don't think they have insurance on the swine. So I just lost your $5 million. Jesus is going to get their attention. Watch this. And it goes off to say, and they that fed the swine fled and told it in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what it was that was done. So most of the folks already knew of this guy. He's in the tombs, and he's cutting himself, and he's wild, and they can't kill him. And then they'd never heard of Jesus before, but that's where we send the swine to go eat, and so this is a big deal. Those swine are going to feed most of the country now. Talking about a famine coming in the next few weeks. Remember the great egg shortage of 2025? My goodness, this is a bigger deal than that. And they wanted to see what it was that was done. Can I tell you, the more we fight God and the harder we go against Him, the harder He's going to come and get your attention. He will get you. And that's not a threat. He doesn't do it because He hates you. He does it because He loves you. But there's things in our lives that we're allowing, they're there because they're comfortable, and eventually He's going to get our attention. And you put whatever that is in your heart and your life or in your mind up on that altar, and you tell me what it is, or you tell Him what it is. Doesn't make no difference in my life. I got Him too. Okay? But He'll get your attention as He got theirs here. And they came to Jesus, and they see Him with the possessed man. Wow, I'm just going to start that over. And they come to Jesus, and they see him that was possessed with the devil and had the legion sitting and clothed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Can you imagine? They've never seen power like this before in their lives. The true fear of the Lord. That's what that true fear of the Lord is. They don't know why they're afraid yet, but they just know that that man right there was untamable, and whatever that guy can do to make him sit there like that, he's pretty special. Okay? I'll step on the gas here. I'm almost done. And they were afraid. Rightfully so. And they that saw it told them how it befell to him that was possessed with the devil, and also concerning the swine, and they began to pray him to depart out of their coasts. Can I tell you that they're no different than us right now? When we see people get saved in our in our lives, besides before we got here, but we seen it. I seen it growing up. Some kid would go to that, camp in the summer, and he'd come back, better than now, holier than now. But not even that. Sometimes he just changed his life. It was all good for him, and we go, "What's wrong with you? We don't want none of that. We don't want to go to church. We have to go to church and give up, what it is we're doing, the smoking, the drinking, the running around, the having fun. Isn't that fun, preacher? That's what we thought. It's enough to give our whole life to. So these folks are seeing that, and they're going, wait a minute. We're not going to give any of that. You can take him, and you can take on off now. Thanks for taking him off our hands. That's how the world sees the church. Don't give them more ammo is what I'm trying to tell you right now. They were sore afraid. They said, "Depart out of our coasts." But when it came to this man that had the Spirit, and when he was coming to the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. Howbeit Jesus suffered him not, but saith unto him, Go home to thy friends, and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on thee. I tell you, when I got saved, I wanted nothing more but to get inside this Bible and get close to people that had truth and wisdom. And this man right here is in the same spot. His whole life has been changed. He has torn up his whole testimony in Decapolis. He does not want to go back there. He wants to stay with this man, Jesus. He wants to be the 13th disciple. That don't work yet. There will be 13, but not yet. Jesus said, you can't come with me right now. I got greater things for you. I got bigger things for you right now. It's kind of like the Christian, and I don't know y'all from Adam or Eve yet. That's like the Christian that's been in this church for 40 years and they haven't knocked a door or gave a tract or done anything outside their comfort zone. Because we just want to sit at the feet of Jesus, and that's where we'll spend eternity. But right now, he said, you need to go and tell the great things I've done for you. Well, what do I say? I don't know what to say to nobody. Tell him how good he has been to you. You're not bragging on you, you're bragging on him. Now, don't be weird about it. Just be natural. I mean, it's pretty incredible how easy it is for us to come up in conversations of how great God has been for us. It doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be, well, what church are you going to? You should come see my church. They should. This is a good church. But there's a million other churches out there too. They need to meet God first before they go to any church. We need to get them in a divine appointment with Jesus. The one who starts starts flipping tables and starts sending swine off the side of the cliffs. That's the kind of Jesus appointment they need. It's hard for people to come into a church where people are wearing suits and ties and they've been here forever, and then they get invited to church and they don't have any idea. They feel out. That's why we go to them. It's very hard for people to want to come to church. That's why we got to go out to the hedges and highways and to the bush folks. You can call me Mzungu all you want, baby. I'll be your Mzungu. They're not coming to us. We're going to them. He said, I need you to get up. Howbeit Jesus suffered him not, but saith unto him, Go home to thy friends and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on thee. And he departed and began to publish in Decapolis how great things Jesus had done for him, and all men did marvel. Let me tell you how much he's done for me. He's raised me out of the miry pits. He's changed my whole life. He's seen my family get saved. I've got 5 beautiful kids. I've been around this world twice. I've seen wealthy men come to Christ. I've seen more poor men come to Christ. And none of it's for my glory. I don't know you guys and what you do or what kind of businesses you guys have or what's in your bank account. and I hope I never do. But I'm telling you right now, he wants to know you. He wants to use you. He wants you to go out and tell people how great he has been to you. That is your job. That is our job. That is the sole purpose of this church. And it's nice to have the nice lights and chandeliers and big pulpits and pianos. All this is for naught if we're just here having a good time and listening to good music that we enjoy. And so be it. Somebody goes to another church that has different music they enjoy. The music they sing in Zambia is a little bit different than the music we sing here. It's still good now. We're real caught up on the things that don't matter whatsoever. And I'm sorry. This is not my place. But it means too much to God to not do what we've been called to do. Sitting here checking boxes, putting things in our account, it's going to all be burned up here in a few more years, I bet. I'm going to finish off in the last part of Mark 4, and we can all go home. After they got in their ships and all those other little ships came with them, we don't really know how many ships were heading to the other side of Gadara, but we know it was at least one and a few small ships. These are all fishermen and men of the sea, really. I mean, that's how they made their living. They were really good at it. They went and navigated the waters at night. They would pull up thousands of fish, and sometimes in these ventures, and really incredible seamen. It says here, in verse 37, and there arose a great storm of wind and waves, beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. Isn't that our Jesus? When things seem to be the worst, you think, where is he at? He's sleeping on a pillow. Can I tell you why Jesus is sleeping on a pillow when this great storm arises? Because he's not scared. He's not caught off guard. There's nothing about what was about to happen in this trip right here that he was saying, I didn't see that one coming. There's never going to be a time in your life that's that way either. He's asleep on the pillow, and they awake him, and they say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose, and he rebuked the wind, and he said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Now we know what happens next. They go and see one of the most defiled men in their ministry get saved and completely delivered. What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him, but we don't? The devils ran and worshipped him, but we don't. I mean, it's hard for us to even come to the altar sometimes, even when we know we need to. It's hard for us. It's hard for us to humble ourselves before our God. Like anyone else that's in the room. Well, if I go down there, someone's going to think I've been sinning. Well, you have been. You're all just a bunch of filthy sinners. You think this looks bad, you should see this view. Listen. You'll never understand what it is to worship and work for God if you don't get in that boat. There was a bunch of people left at the side of the sea there when they were going to the other side that could have went, decided not to go. It's not if there's going to be some wind and some storms that come across. There's going to be some water that gets in your boat, guys. You're going to have fear and doubt. You're going to have trials. You're going to say, is it worth it? And you're going to get to the point where you say it's not. But you'll never have any idea how great our God is if you don't get in that boat with him. He'll get you to the other side. That boat will never sink. And I'm sorry to say it, but you can't kill me. I'll never die. I have purchased my ticket. He has purchased my ticket to eternity. And this is as bad as it gets. That's pretty awesome. This is as close as the hell as I'll ever be, and this is as bad as it gets. So there's nothing that should be holding us back from living for Him, walking in that place. I've taken up enough of your time. I'm going to have a preacher come up. Please come see us and our family at the back. Ask questions. We're not asking you all to go to Zambia. We're just asking you to go down the road and love on somebody, okay? We appreciate y'all. Come on, preacher.
Bless you, Brother Eric. Thank you so much. Let's stand to our feet. Heads are bowed and eyes are closed. Ryan and them can come back for the invitation. All of us in this room this evening, if God has touched you at one point in time, and I know all of you in the room, except this family, as far as I know in the building, everybody has a profession of faith that you've received Christ. He's done great things in all of our lives, and all we have is the story of what He's done for us. And you say, preacher, I can't really take the Romans road and explain it, and I get nervous, and you can tell what He did for you. And that's foundational, even enough right there, that's a seed that can be sown. God has done great things for us. And I know tonight that sometimes when we get in the boat, when we get in the ship and we're on the water, there's unexpected storms that brew up in our lives. Most believe that the devil sent this storm, and even when the Lord rebuked it, that word rebuke there is the same word that's used to rebuke the devil and to rebuke the demons in other passages of the Scripture. Sometimes we have to be in those places, like Brother Eric said, in order to see and experience the great, mighty, omnipotent power of God. I'll promise you this, He won't leave you. He'll not forsake you. And when that man went home that day, no doubt his family saw him coming down the road. Maybe he had children that saw him, ran in the house and said, Mama, said, Daddy's coming down the road, and she didn't believe it. Maybe she did believe it, and maybe she got him and tried to protect him from the demonic powers that possessed his life. But this time he came into the house, and he was kind, he was loving. Something had happened in his life that changed him drastically. He became a father that he ought to be. He became a husband that he ought to be. He became the citizen that he ought to be. He was a provider. He was a protector. He learned in those tombs and then that garden or that place where the dead was, he was even a perseverer. They saw something that maybe they'd never seen or heard of Jesus before. Maybe he said, I met him. And he'd come across the Sea of Galilee, and he docked his little boat down there with 12 men, and he made his way up on the side of the hill over there. He told the story about how that God changed him and set him free from all the demonic powers. I don't know what that man's life was like that caused all those demons to inhabit him. He opened himself up to demonic forces and powers. I'll guarantee you that many times as he was alone, living, cutting himself and being chained and ripping those chains off like a mad, wild man that he was. He must have been a sight, Brother Eric, to even look at. He was fearful, and at night, no doubt, he would scream and he'd cry with the devil living inside of him. But oh, God showed up and showed His power. You and I see people that we love and people that we care about. We think they're hopeless. We think they're doomed. And you know what? Without the Lord, they are. And without the Lord, you and I would be in that same place. Boy, I'm glad He met me when I was a little 6-year-old boy. He moved in and took up an abode and saved my wretched, miserable soul. To keep me out of the places. I love to hear testimonies like Brother Eric's of where he's come from his past and how that he was on a road of damnation. living a life of corruption, sin. But God got a hold of him and changed his life. I love to hear those stories, but I also love to hear the stories of how God saved a little girl or a little boy. They grow up and they learn in a home, and you ought to count your blessings tonight that you were raised in a home with a mom and dad that loved you and brought you to the house of God. Children resent their parents today because they raise them in a Bible, spiritual environment. They honestly do. They resent having parents like that. The devil convinces them that there was a better way. There's no better way, Brother Eric, is there? You ought to even come here tonight and just thank God in heaven for raising you in the Bible Belt and a church and a family like what you've got. You ought to thank God tonight that God's done great things in your life that you can share with others and tell others about. All of us see people's lives that are in shambles. They're not in the tombs living, but I'll tell you, they're living in the same darkness. And you can be a missionary even to them. Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for the message and the sharing of this dear brother that's come and shared the burden of going into Zambia and South Africa and taking his family there to live in the will of God. Lord, I pray that you will give him great labor, give him great fruit rather for his labor. Give him souls. Lord, give us souls at Holtz Baptist Church. Give us souls in our field that we know is white and ready unto harvest. I pray tonight, God, that you would send forth laborers into the fields. I pray you'd send my son, my daughters. I pray that you'd send my son-in-laws. I pray that you would send my grandchildren when they're old enough. I pray that you'd send these young couples and our young families. I pray that you will send them into the fields that are white and ready for harvest. Give them a vision. Open their eyes that they would see the souls of men that are dying and going to hell. As they sing this invitational hymn, I pray, God, that our hearts will be stirred and that we would just come and do business with you this evening. In Jesus' name, I pray and amen. As they begin to sing, will you obey God?